speaking of Anthony Edwards, and like it really, really hurts me to say it because of the reasons we listed. Because it was a new shoe, it was, I ain't gonna lie. Like sometimes we talked about it even for the Fat Five. Sometimes you do want to just see something different. You want to break the monotony of seeing the same faces and brands. And so it was nice to see Adidas basketball drop something dope. That wasn't a Yeezy or something, or a Fear of God. It was like it was Adidas. It was Adidas's. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't attached to anybody else. It was straight up Adidas's shoe. And I thought the commercials was dope. I thought the rollout was dope. I thought the sneaker was dope. I thought the colorways were dope. Like there was nothing really negative I could say about any of it surrounding that shoe until you know what I'm saying, dude. And like I gotta say this though, because as a black man who is a father, there is nothing lower to me than a man who does not take care of his kids. You are not a man to me. Even in The Godfather, he said, a man cannot be a man unless he take care of his family.
You spend time with your family?
Sure I do.
Good. Because a man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
And I saw the video, the first whiff of this story I saw was the viral video that went where it was the mother taking her son shopping. And I think he picked up an AE1 and then she told him to put it down.
Yeah, put them back because he don't take care of his kids. Makes sense, right? Get somebody else like John Morant. He take care of his daughter. Kobe Bryant. Move, Jelani. John Morant, yeah. Kobe Bryant. He's a great dad, even after life.
Here's the thing, and this is what pisses me off, and it has a lot to do with podcast culture, especially with the manosphere or whatever you want to call it, relationship shit. And I'm not saying that there aren't any truths in that. But there's a lot of bullshit you got to weed through to get to those truths. My thing is this: at the end of the day, there's only one way to make a kid. It ain't never changed. It requires a man and a woman to sleep together, right? So it's crazy to me, like when people act shocked and surprised when they do the very thing that creates a child, and they be like, "Oh, you pregnant?" Like, here's the thing: if you say you don't want kids, then it's on you, not her. It's on you to protect yourself because you're the NBA player. Out the gate, you are a meal ticket for somebody. So you got to protect yourself. And I want to even say they take classes, like rookies take classes on how to protect themselves from groupies and stuff like that.
Yep.
So you got to be smart. Two, you got to, once again, vet who you lay with, because we can't be telling women and single mothers, hey, you should have picked better, but then you out here sleeping with anything and then want to get mad at her after the fact when she ends up pregnant. When you didn't take care of yourself, you didn't do the necessary steps, protecting yourself, sleeping with protection, or how about not sleeping with a hoe at all? Don't come to me after the fact talking about she for the streets when you knew that beforehand, or you should have known that beforehand. Once again, you got to do your due diligence, right? That would be like, this notion where he said he didn't want a kid. That's like me saying, man, I don't want no DUIs, but then I'm out here drinking and driving. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dog, you saying that you don't want this, but then you actively doing something that's counterproductive. You don't want kids, but then you out here raw dogging hoes. What you thought was going to happen? You know what I'm saying? And then for me, as somebody who grew up without a father, and I had men step up in my life, to have a child or to create a child and then willingly say you're not going to be a father, I don't give a fuck how big of a check you cut. Like, being present is just as important, if not more important, than the money. Yes, you need to be able to take care of a child, provide for it, but you also need to be an active presence in his or her life. And so to walk away from that responsibility, that shit just bothers me. And to watch other men, I've seen other women even defend this bullshit, and I just can't. With all good conscience, I cannot condone a man walking away from his responsibility. Yes, he cut a check. That's half of the story. Now that child's gonna grow up, and I promise you this, if he chooses not to be an active parent, he's gonna regret it. At some point in his life, as he gets older, he's gonna look back and regret it, because that child is gonna grow up without him. And I pray that he or she, is able to still find a way to have a successful life, with or without him. But that child is gonna have some resentment, especially knowing, because this ain't Joe Blow in the middle of nowhere and we don't know about him. Like, this shit went viral. You are a big name. You one of the best players in the league. So this is headline news. So she's gonna have to deal with going on the internet and knowing and seeing all these think pieces and all this content centered around the fact that you didn't want to step up and be a father to her or him. I don't know if he's having a daughter or son, but and so they, so now you got somebody out there that you created. That kid didn't ask to be here. You created that kid. You owe it to that kid to be a part of their life. I don't give a fuck what you said before the fact. You didn't do the things necessary to avoid that. And so, because you didn't take the necessary steps, don't come to me talking about what she should have and da. Why leave it in her hands? Why leave something important like that in her hands? If I'm that dead set about not getting somebody pregnant, I'm not gonna leave it up to anybody else to make sure they don't get pregnant. I'm gonna take the necessary steps, whether that's getting a vasectomy, using a condom, whatever I need to do to prevent that from happening. And so and here's the last thing too. If we're gonna say men are leaders, then we need to lead, not make excuses. I hold myself accountable. I'm harder on myself than most people because I do see myself as a leader. And so I have to lead by example, not just my words, but my actions. And if my actions ain't lining up with what a man is supposed to do, trust and believe. I got men in my life that are going to check me about that. They're not going to make excuses for me. If I got somebody pregnant right now and I was like, oh, is she a hoe? Oh, I told her, no, you part of that. Now, I'm not making excuses for this lady. I don't know her, don't care to know her. Right? And they both wrong, right? She wrong for the shit she pulling because, I mean, she's taking advantage of the situation, but guess what? She wouldn't have the ammunition to take advantage of you if you hadn't given her the ammunition. So y'all both some fools. And there's consequences to being foolish. And, and in this case, is having a kid, but the kid is here or on his way. Didn't ask to be here. You brought this on yourself. So man up. Being a father is probably the most important thing I've ever done. My daughter is my greatest accomplishment, and I refuse to make excuses for any man that willingly walks away from his child and is not present in his or her life. I just can't do it. And if that makes me soft or whatever buzzword you want to throw at me, I'll be that. But I'll also be a father. So
that was a James her night. So
we are all fathers in here, and that's one of the things I take pride in, the fact that we are all examples in our kids' lives. We are an example of how to, you can still enjoy life and enjoy your hobbies. Like, we all love sneakers. We all like doing this podcast, but we're all fathers too. And that's one of the things I'm proud of. I'm very proud of that. And so to see somebody who has the means and ability to do it, like, that's the part that's killing me. It's like, she's not forcing you. There's situations where the mother gets in the way of the father seeing the child. You're choosing to walk away, and that shit, and you can cut whatever check you want to. That check ain't gonna be there when she take her first steps. That check ain't gonna be there when she goes to prom or when she says her first word. Those are the things you're gonna miss. I look at men who aren't fathers and talk about it, and I look at them like, I can't even imagine walking away from my daughter. My mom won't even let me go there. We got a little thing we do where we get in the car and just vibe. We just drive around Grosse Pointe or Birmingham and roll the window down when it's warm. We got a playlist that we have together that we, got our songs, and we just vibe out to the music. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are times that I cherish, and there's no amount of money that's going to ever replace those memories. And I don't understand it. I don't even fucking care if he tried to explain it. I refuse to even try to understand it because there's no explanation good enough. And it sucks though, because I really like Anthony Edwards and I like the shoe.
I agree with everything you said. I guess my only premise too, as somebody who has to co-parent in a difficult situation, and I still show up, like, you have the means to, like, have a relative go get the kid, pick him up and drop it off. You don't even have to see Shorty ever again. You know what I'm saying? So you can have that. And also too, on the flip side, I told you I didn't want the kid. You had it anyway, so I'm gonna you pay my money and I don't want nothing to do with you, the kid. That's bold because, like you said, you the kid that has to be here. But also on the flip side too, you just had a child with your girl that you live with, right? Not too long ago, right? So now that sibling is going to grow up and know about the other sibling. And then if they go and have a relationship together and they have a strong bond, now the child in your home is going to say, why did you keep my sister or my brother away from us? Why did you let them have a relationship? Now you don't even know it, but 15 years from now, you can have resentment in your own home.
Yeah.
From your own child who you active with because you didn't have that. Because now it's bigger than you. You have a sibling. You say, I don't want to deal with it, but now your child in your house doesn't have a relationship with somebody they're blood related to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's another aspect of it that he may not be considering. But nonetheless, you gotta do that. We co-parent. Our co-parenting situation is not the most favorable, but I still show up. When I had to bring my son to the podcast,
Yep,
and the chair and everything, you know what I'm saying? So there's pictures and stuff like that with Goose. So I've done it where, like, to me, you have to, as a black man, and also too when we're the most active fathers. I look at a report from the CDC, right? And I had this conversation with women all the time. The black fathers are the most active fathers, I think, at 73% or more out of any other race in the world right now, right? And then single parent fathers have the same success rate as two parent households, right? So from a statistical standpoint, fathers are very important, right? So even though we currently are more active and have success raising a child, because women are more vocal, there's a narrative that fathers aren't showing up, especially black fathers, right?
Yeah.
So when you do things like this, it makes the active fathers have to fight twice as hard to shake a narrative or a stereotype off of them. And as a black father, you really got to be extra preparation for the world that they're going into because you got to show them how to move. You got to show them how to be cool. You got to show them because you not allow the liberties to react like other people can or the opportunities of, hey, this is going to happen to you. This is how you move. You know what I'm saying? Like, I taught my son because he really liked the AE1s and it's really hard to get him to pick a shoe sometimes. I like rock, go here and rock out. But I just know that when the AE2 comes, we're going to pivot. And it sucks because I want support. When a dude with a signature shoe comes out, I look at that as that's a black man who got an opportunity to let me support, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at when I buy signature shoes. Even if you're not on my favorite team, as long as you don't do nothing crazy I don't like, I'll still grab at least one of your shoes. Because at the end of the day, forget basketball, sports, whatever, rapping, you're still a black man with opportunity and a product.
Yeah.
And if you seem to be somewhat a dope human being and talented, I'll go support that. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So that's how my approach is.
I mean, I'm gonna just say, hopefully, he changes his perspective.
Yeah,
I don't want to use the term like changes his mind because I just feel like when you say that, you make it seem like should be a flip of the switch, like to want to be in a child's life. I think exactly what you said is. I look at my daughter as like I never thought I'd have a kid, like ever, like just even thinking about it. What I don't understand from Anthony Edwards' perspective, I would say is you have the means of being able to take care of this child that most
don't.
Exactly. Like most, if there are people that are, they get in a situation where they have a child outside of a marriage or outside of a relationship, at that point, that probably is a real sticky, tight situation where you're like, okay, well, how am I going to be able to navigate through life? How am I going to be able to move through things that I want to be able to accomplish? How am I going to be able to take care of this child on top of dealing with my responsibilities in the home that I've probably messed everything up in?
Yeah.
He in a position where I'm not going to say it's okay, but you're in a position where you can navigate it a lot easier than most people can. I don't see why are you going to push away and be like, I'm not going to have nothing to do with that child?
And too, though, you got, even from a peer standpoint, because as an NBA player, your image is what helps sell, gives you your endorsement deals and your contract, right? As a person, right?
We just talked about that.
So it's just like when you see your peers who got shoes, Ja Morant, very father affectionate with his daughter, shows his daughter out, right? Then you got Deion Sanders coaching his sons on every level, right? You got LeBron getting his son on the team and doing what he's doing for Bronny and Bryce and Zuri, right? Then excuse me, Michael Jordan when he doing with Marcus and all the rest of his kids, right? It's like it's
Kobe with his daughter,
right?
His daughters.
So it's even more glaring when you got kids, Draymond, Steph bringing their kids to press conference and stuff, right? So it's more glaring when you go that route. It makes you look even 10 times worse when you're in a field with everybody showcasing the enjoyment of fatherhood.